lots of things happen, like the Somalia, or as Clay said before we started out, just Minnesota. Just Minnesota went buck wild again, not the first time. But yes, Nick Shirley, right? That's his name. Nick Shirley broke. He is an independent journalist, independent young guy, independent journalist. Pretty much single-handedly broke the story of the fraudulent Somali daycare centers that should be in. Where's my hand? Here it is. That should be in air quotes.
Leering Center.
The Leering Center, yes, a forever meme going forward now. Everything is, all about. If you guys don't know what that means, the more than one, but the one in particular, this is supposed to be a running, operating, government-funded daycare center, and they misspelled learning. So, Leering Center. That alone is enough to just make your eyebrows go really high up into your forehead. So yes, Minnesota ran large daycare subsidiary programs, investigations, and reporting uncovered cases where some daycare centers, and it's, we should make sure we say not all daycare centers, some daycare centers were billing the state for kids who weren't there, hours that didn't happen, or facilities that appeared empty. Millions of taxpayer money may have been, I love the may have been misused, were misused. Let's be real, were misused. Millions and millions of dollars went into these fake daycare centers. And what does the left say? What they always say, racism, you're racist for saying that.
Yeah. And really what happened was this unlocked systemic fraud.
Yeah.
Mostly through not all, but mostly through the Somali communities in Minnesota. And listen, folks, we all know the associated, the people associated with this: Tim Waltz, Ilyan Omar, like it's all the same names. But really, Nick Shirley. And if you haven't seen the film footage, I'm sure most of you have, if not all of you. He goes to this Leering Center, opens the door. There's no kids there. There's clearly I won't say never, but there clearly has not been kids there in a long time. Him and the guy with him, they have, they confront the operators with, hey, there's supposed to be, X amount of kids here. Where are they? No kids there. And as people dug into the fraud from the daycares, they unraveled a lot of fraud within the state of Minnesota.
Right.
Again, mostly in the Somali communities, to the tune of over $9 billion, I think was the latest that I saw. Some of the great analysis that I have seen is that this is, when we say systemic fraud, it's almost systematic fraud. And here's a great example. So you've got the daycares, right? But the example I saw was about healthcare. So you've got Somalis, vast majority of the households are on government assistance. And a lot of these are kids and people who have they're second generation now, right? Yeah. So you've got a Somali headed household, but they've got naturalized children born in the United States who speak English. These people actually, many of them do speak English, but when they go to a doctor's appointment, they suddenly do not speak English,
right?
Which requires the state now to call and move a $100 an hour translator of Somali descent to the doctor's appointment, right?
Yeah.
To translate for the person who actually does speak English. But they're now it's a free healthcare appointment with a $100 an hour translator, another Somali who's getting paid. Oh, by the way, the transportation system to get these people to and from the doctor's appointments also run by Somalis, right? And they're charging the state exorbitant rates to get people to these doctor's appointments, and so on and so forth. So it's all this interwoven cultural fraud that is being unlocked and uncovered across the state of Minnesota. And it's insane how deep this thing runs.
It is so insane. And we're just scratching the surface. And I can't even say we, I mean, people like Nick Shirley and, everyone else who jumped on that essentially after or at the same time, whatever the case is, and just said, hang on, let me go check this out. Let me ask some questions. Let me physically go there. And, it's kind of embarrassing in a way like that. Wow, this is what it took. Like, you have all of these resources, all of these people who are supposed to be doing, within our own government, that are supposed to be keeping an eye on things like this. And it took this independent journalist with, no backing, nobody funding him, not that I'm aware of at least, just to literally go knock on the door and say, hey, what's up, guys? What you got going on here? And that is what blew this whole thing up. And of course, what is, again, my favorite question, what does the left do? What is the left doing? This guy is getting death threats and his family's getting doxxed and all of these things. And it's, another extension of the constant madness that goes on, that this is our money, like American taxpayer money. We're being robbed. And these lunatic liberals, because this is during the Trump administration, are angry about it. Like, you let those Somalis take all of our money. Damn it. So crazy to me.
Yeah, it is. And so there are some good things that have come out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Governor Walz is now no longer running for another term as governor, which he blamed on President Trump. Not
of course.
Having to do
nothing
with
that he did. No.
Dollars of fraud or
Right.
anything that's going on in Minnesota.
Right.
President Trump's fault because of targeting Tim Walz. All right. So that's a good thing that he is
finally a good thing. Yes.
We've now exposed the mayor of Minneapolis, who is a Class A piece of garbage, and a panderer, and all of those things. Right. All of this it's very apparent that this is being done for votes. It's paid for votes.
Mm-hmm.
Their conduct is bringing that to light. But the other thing is that we're starting to have great examples because there's such evidence of the fraud going on, right?
Yeah.
This is not made up. There's just way too much evidence out there. But I saw on another podcast that I enjoy, and I don't know if you've ever seen these two ladies, but it's called Chicks on the Right.
I love them. I love them. Yes, they're terrific.
I saw a little highlight from their podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a man on the street interview, and I think it was in Southern California, right? It was definitely in a warm place. And they were just asking, hey, how do you feel about the Somali fraud in Minneapolis or in Minnesota? And these people were openly saying, oh, I think it's all a lie. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's really anything there. Yeah. I think it's all, and so there are people who still are in an absolute state of denial.
Yeah.
No matter what evidence is presented in front of them.
Won't matter. It's all fake news to them.
Right.
They will not believe it.
And so now we have, there is tangible evidence of TDS because that's really what this is. You can show somebody empirical evidence, accounting evidence, all of these things, and it really doesn't matter.
No, it does not matter at all.
So now we've got proof, we've got proof that it's a real thing.
Right. Yeah. I think the only way, you literally cannot win because listen, I can be fair about this. If that were a left-leaning independent journalist who discovered this, who unearthed all of this, I think it's probably fair to say that the right would say, BS. I don't know. Would we? Something like this, if he uncovered that, it's just not even something they would do. It's impossible to even imagine. They would not uncover.
I don't think we would. I don't think the right would. And so here's why. And I have this discussion over and over again, right? Yeah. The reality of the left is their reaction is scream racism, right? Mm-hmm. Misogyny, sexism, whatever ism that is appropriate for the situation. So they'll throw an ism out there first.
Right.
Then it will be protest, and then it will become violence, right?
Oh, yeah. There's no question.
The right never escalates beyond an ism.
No, we definitely would never escalate the way that they do. I just mean that we wouldn't, if it was something coming from the left, would we believe it to be true?
I think with the amount of empirical evidence, I honestly believe that most conservatives, rational people would look at it and go, well, that's just effed up. And they would accept it as the truth. There would be some stereotypes, there would be some labeling, there would be all of those things that go along with it. But I think more readily the conservative side of the aisle will admit, no matter the source, as long as there's empirical evidence and it's not opinion. Yeah. I think the right is much more accepting of that kind of information when it's backed up by fact.
Yeah. I like to hope so. I like to believe that's the case. I'm a little salty here because of the whole Candace Owens thing, because I which is unrelated. Obviously it might be a little bit of apples and oranges here, but I mean it in the sense that, because there is a faction of the right that are, just diehard Candace Owens fans. And I don't have a whole heck of a lot against her or her making money off of what she does. More power to. But it's what she's been doing and how, in my opinion, that she's gone completely off the rails and, doesn't back anything up with actual evidence or anything like that. So I've been making fun of her pretty hard. I've been doing some parodies of her and all this, just having a good time with it. And, people on our side have, come out pretty aggressively, in the comment section. It's like, wow. So you're going to just throw away any ounce of reserve, I guess, or pause for thought, and you're just going to go full rabid. And, and again, I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. Tell me you disagree in the comments. There are plenty of people who just simply disagreed with me in the comments and simply stated as much like, well, I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. I think Candace is right. And I think she, and
there's
that's
talismans. There's some people on the right that have been, I won't say dubbed untouchable, but there are some that people will defend blindly. I think Candace has a following like that. I think Tucker has a following like that. Megyn Kelly has a following like that. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. But you could also say the same thing. And I've taken a lot of heat about my stance on Secretary Hegseth.
Yeah, they come for you. Yeah, they do.
After me. And it's because there's this level of blind loyalty. That's why I said, I think with empirical evidence, not opinion, I think that the right is much more accepting to say, yeah, we blew that one. But I will also say there is plenty of, defending the indefensible based on opinion. So I don't think, either side of the aisle is better one way or the other based on opinion. I think just based on factual evidence, I think the right is much more accepting.
Yeah. I would absolutely agree with that for sure. Definitely.